This is the Fur Radon 6, and this is one of the more expensive IEM in the market. Now, the cost of it is about 5,000 Sing dollars or around 3,400 USD. The thing is, what are you paying for? Why is it so expensive, and is it worth it? Now, this copy here is my own personal one, and let's look at the unboxing experience first before I continue talking about this IEM. Now let's do the unboxing of the Radon 6. Now this is my own personal copy set, so I'll be unboxing it to just showcase to you what's inside it, and then we'll continue on with the full review after that. So let's take a look at what's inside. Opening this box is more challenging than I thought. I've been shaking this for some time and it's not coming out. Harder than I thought. I mean, don't design box like this, please. Live harmony was great. Most of the UM was great, and this is one of the worst unboxing experience. You can see I'm struggling to open this box. It is super tight. Why do you do this? Why do you do this? Never build a box this tight. So I managed to unbox it finally and gave a very nice cloth patch here, throw it at the side. This is the IEM, very nice cables. Oh, this cable looks very different from what I have tried so far. This is a jacket with, I think, silver cables inside. Really, really nice cables this time. Yep. Looks way better than the demo sets they had. And then these are the IEMs placed in the holders here. Okay, same thing. Very, very tight. let me get this up. Now, whoever who designed this case really hate the customers or something, because they made everything so goddamn tight. I mean, customers just want their toys. Come on. Okay, this is the warranty card. This is the case. We'll put it aside first. And I believe these are all the tips or something. Nothing inside this box. So I believe the tips are all inside here. Let's try to open up. Oh, there's the tips. Okay, so what do we have here? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the tips here. These are the symbiotic tips. These are the foam tips, which I always dislike because they kind of create weird ass sound. For, I'll say, as the Radon 6, I do not recommend any of the tips here, because it's better to use other tips. So what you see here is the atom modules, and the black is the least bass, gold is the most bass, and the black also has the most soundstage, and the gold has the least soundstage. It's some trade-off there that's happening here. And they are very, very small, really small. And you need this funky little screw to actually extract it out. And I can't even get the screw out. I'm pretty sure whoever designed this didn't really think about user experience. It's terrible. Yeah, even the tips, you see, they are all like floating and falling around. It's kind of irritating. Honestly, not a very enjoyable box opening experience. Now, I will just extract the tips later for the purpose of keeping them, but I won't use them because of a variety of good reasons. Let's have a closer look at the IEM itself. Now, this is the Radon 6 IEM. It has, I would say, as a mid-size nozzle. You can see the mid-size nozzle here. Not too big, not too small. It has a lip. The lip is actually quite thick, but not very distinct. But good enough, I think, to hold the IEMs in its position. The nozzle is, I would say, as a mid-length. Yeah, mid-length. In fact, maybe actually one of the longer ones already. But the shape, because you can see here, it doesn't like protrude too much. So the overall length to actually enter the ear is not that long. What you can see here is the Kinetic Bass driver, and this allows you to feel the bass in the ear, which I'll talk more about it in the sound section. You can see on the top here, there is this red color dot. This is actually the atom module, the red one, which is the lightest in bass, but it's also the biggest and airiest sounding one. I'll talk more of these modules also in the sound section, which I'll clarify what's the difference between them. One last thing I want to show is the 2-pin plug here. Now, Fur Audio is very proud about it and actually has a special name called Rigid Design for the whole Fur Audio's IEM. This is actually one of those special things, and supposedly this is very, very durable, and this 2-pin can allow 1000 insertions. I do not know whether it will last that long. And you can see this glass plate here is made of sapphire crystal, so you are guaranteed never to scratch this unless you hit against the other side of the IEM or hit against your watch, which will be a really, really sad day. Though I will say that, you know, it protrudes out. There is a small, really small chance to crack it if you drop your IEM on the floor. But, you know, if you drop any IEM on the floor, most likely you will damage it quite a bit. I mean, you'll be sad by seeing a ding there. So I guess, you know, it shouldn't be a major issue in any way. Overall, I do think that the IEM looks good, feels good, and it's small, which is great because I can fit it on wireless modules easily. Not much to say. The good thing, of course, this is not a recessed connector. Non-recessed connector means that you can use a lot more cables and plugs for it. And that's about it for the physical part. Now we will move on to the sound section. Now that you have seen the unboxing, let's talk about the IEM itself. Now, there is two notable technologies of this IEM. One is Kinetic Bass and the other one is the Atom system. Kinetic Bass is just this port here. What it does is that it fires the bass energy onto your ear itself. And actually, it not only fires the bass energy, it fires almost all energy, because if you block this port and then listen to it, quite a little bit of sound is actually leaking out of this port itself. So it fires almost all the energy onto your ear. Now, this energy, by what Fur claims, is that, you know, it gives a bit more of a kinetic feel to the bass, and I do agree to a certain extent. The bass on the Fur Radon 6 is a bit unique. It's very punchy even though it goes quite deep, which I'll talk more in the sound section. Now, the other thing that is notable is the Atom system on top. You can see this small little pin here. Now, it is really tiny. I will not be demonstrating on the screen, but this small little pin can be extracted using a hex key, and then you can pull this out and then replace it inside, and it affects the sound very similar to what you see in Audio 64's plugs, or I think Grand Maestros also have that plug itself. Now, all these things, what it does is that it changes the sound signature and the isolation slightly, increases isolation, and, you know, increases bass together at a cost of certain clarity and sound stage. Now, that being said, you know, the differences are quite small, except maybe for isolation. Everything else is very small differences, and personally I use a silver one, which is more of the neutral style of the plugs, and it gives a good balance between soundstage, clarity, bass, and, you know, isolation itself. If you want to know more information, I recommend you to go and read my review, because saying it online is kind of weird because, you know, there is no reference to that. But just note that I'll be using the silver module here for this review, because it is the module that I enjoy the most. Let's talk a little bit about comfort before we enter into sound. Now, this IEM, you can see here, is pretty small. It is actually really comfortable to wear. You can even lie on the side of your head when you sleep, and, you know, it just I'll say apply a little bit pressure to your ear, but it is possible. So it's possible to sleep with this IEM. Now, I don't recommend you to do that, but just to showcase how comfortable it is and how small it is, it fits nicely into the ear. Just to illustrate the size, I can show you, this is the A64 and this is the Radon 6. You can see that the Radon 6 is actually even smaller than the A64, making the Radon 6 one of the smallest IEM with 6 drivers at the flagship level itself. So let's talk about the sound quality of this IEM. Once again, this is using the silver module, and if you want to know how the module affects, do read my review in my description below. Now, overall, in terms of tonality, this is a W-shaped IEM, which means that it boosts bass, it boosts highs, it also boosts sound in the mids, creating quite a interesting forward sound that is very enjoyable. This IEM does have a little bit more emphasis in the bass, and it does create a slightly warm tone for this sound itself. And it actually does sound warmer than even the U12T. But overall, I do feel that it is a very balanced sound that, you know, for any frequency you want, it is quite enjoyable. So this IEM does have sufficient energy throughout all spectrums. It sounds very energetic, it sounds very lively, and the only way to describe it is like listening to a rock concert. So if you are into type of high energy music, this is the IEM that you can really consider itself. Now, the soundstage of this IEM is mid to large size and bordering on the full large size. Now, to put into comparison, I would say as the U12T is smaller than this, while the Onyx is slightly bigger than this. If you want a bigger soundstage, you can actually use the red module or the black module, and that will put it on par with the Onyx, but I do prefer the silver module because it's a bit more focused and has a lot more energy while still maintaining a relatively large soundstage itself. Tracks like Backlight, will fill the entire width of the head if you listen to this IEM, so it is very enjoyable. Now, if you go for a little bit more vocal-centric type of song, like I Know Akuruhi, which I usually use in Ado's album for purpose of review, it has a lot of air, it has a lot of extension, and makes the sound really huge and, kind of envelopes your head itself. This is really how I would describe the soundstage. It is very nice, big and wide. So for clarity, I think the Radon excels in it. With only the Maestro SE being the only IEM I feel that actually provides better clarity and also separation. A lot of the small little details in like Backlight by Vonde can be heard, all the little electric guitars, the strumming, all behind the back can be heard very clearly with this IEM. Now, clarity is half tuning, half technicality, and I would say the Radon does it really, really well. Now, in soundtracks like Wish of Mercury, there is very clear separation within instruments. I do have to say the truth that when it comes to layering, the Onyx does layer better. So if you're looking at separation at the layering level, Onyx does it better. But the separation on the width-wise is very, very good on the Radon 6. So if you are the type that want to really inspect the music, the Radon 6 does give you the ability to inspect and appreciate all the smaller things that is happening in the mix itself, and is a step up from quite some of the IEMs. Now, the energy of this IEM is on the higher side, as I said. It reminds me of a rock concert. This energy is a combination of power, which means how aggressive the sound is, and the speed of the sound, how fast and reactive the IEM is. Maybe it's because of the 6-driver design, but almost all songs, especially Ado's song, which is bordering on a rock style of kind of playback, is very enjoyable. It's very high energy, just imagining watching it in the live concert and Ado screaming in your face. That is how I would say the Radon 6 actually sounds like to me. When it comes to the frequencies itself, bass is where Radon 6 is very unique. Remember the Kinetic Bass spot itself? Now, the reason why I bought the Radon 6 is because when I hear the bass, not only does it go deep, not only does it have high quality, but it is very distinct with very good amount of impact. I'm guessing that it is due to the venting, the Kinetic Bass, everything combined together that gives it this very distinct bass-like feel to it. So not only do you get the bass rumbles that is very common when you have a lot of sub-bass that is well controlled, but you also have the impact. And mid-bass normally gets lost the moment you have a lot of sub-bass because it rounds off and creates some weird things. I mean, this is very apparent if you listen to something like the Scarlett Mini or even like say the Grand Maestro. All of them, the moment you have a bass lift, it feels a bit more rounded off. I have compared with also other IEMs such as the Maestro SE, which is also a Fat Freak, and also the Alter Ego, I forgot what's the full name, but you get my point. Even compared to the A64 U12T, this is much more punchier while still extending deeper than those IEM. The bass here is very special. To describe it in certain songs, Ado's Backlight, there is a bass guitar. For the texture itself, this thing renders it fantastically. And then if you listen to Yusha, where it's a very punchy bass, not only do you get a punch, you also get a sub-bass rumble. Very nice on this particular IEM. The Radon 6 excels in bass itself. One thing just to note that even though there is this thing called Kinetic Bass in this IEM, most of the bass is still coming in from the nozzle. So do ensure that you have a good fit. So the nozzle is actually quite long, so you can fit quite a lot of tips on it to get the best tip, to get the best seal, because loss of seal, even with the Kinetic Bass, cannot save the impact and depth that the bass can give for this IEM. For the mids on this Radon 6, because of its W-like signature, it does feel like the mids are pushed forward slightly, especially for male vocals. They are actually quite forward, but not to the extent that, it's in your face. Now, having a slightly forward mid is quite good. One of the complaints I had in some other IEMs is that they are a bit pushed back, especially if you follow the more V-shape or U-shape style sound or the Harman sound. They get pushed back a little bit. So I do want my vocals to be slightly forward, and the Radon 6 does give you that effect. This makes vocals very full-bodied, very powerful, very upfront. And it applies also to the instruments where guitars, especially in those frequencies that is pushed, feels very lively, very energetic, very in your face, and it can be quite enjoyable. Now, even though I say in your face, it's not to the extreme of just right in front of you, so you don't get this very scary upfront effect. You just get it closer to you so that it's a bit more balanced compared to the rest of the signature, still maintaining a large soundstage but a very nice full-bodied mids itself. One thing I want to note is that female vocals are sometimes not affected by this bump in frequency at the mids level, so they do still feel a little bit further away. But you know, in the end of the day, it's still not as bad as many of the V or U shape or Harman style sound where the female vocals are miles away from the listener. So this is still a very good tuning, and I do really enjoy it a lot for the purpose of mids. One thing I want to note on the mids is because of how it's tuned, I do find that small little instruments and their sounds such as picking, pressing the notes are very clear on this IEM. So if you listen to music with a lot of guitars, the picking of the guitars on this IEM sounds really precise and, you know, very, very clear. This is small little details that I noticed for the Radon 6. Radon 6 doesn't have a lot of energy in the treble or the high mids region. It does have good amount though, so there is a lot of energy there with good clarity and extension. But if I was to compare it to something, say, as the Annihilator or the Mass Mark III, this is a little bit lower, and definitely also lower than the Fat Freak Maestro SE in terms of quantity. It does feel like, you know, it doesn't extend as far, but if you on a little bit louder, you'll notice that it is fine. It does extend all the way. The ESTs are working well. I want to say the truth that even though it doesn't have that much quantity of treble, things like cymbal crashes still are very energetic, still very smooth and extended. So it is very enjoyable to listen to highs. It doesn't feel congested or just stuck in your head. Some of the IEMs with elevated treble to me always feels like when there's a lot of high instruments running around, it feels like a blob in the head, which is not very enjoyable. While this one doesn't have that problem, I would say as this is pretty good when it comes to the treble region. Now, if you want to compare it to something like the U12T, I would say as the treble here is slightly more than the U12T. When you swap from this to the U12T does sound a little bit dull. So that's the amount of treble if you want to put it in comparison. Overall, the Radon 6 is a very good sounding IEM. This is up there with some of the best. It has high clarity and to me a very balanced signature because the mids are also a little bit more forward, so everything can be heard very clearly. The amount of details are very good. Soundstage is retained and is very high energy, especially for the bass and mids level. If you are into listening rock-like songs, this is the IEM for you. You get the punch, you get the energy all there for you. Now, the treble itself has good amount of energy. It is still brighter than, say, a U12T, but darker than, say, the Maestro SE. But, you know, this is not a super treble IEM. So if you're looking for the kind of high energy treble, go and look for the Annihilator. That will be a better option. But in the end of the day, I still think that for the sound itself, it is great. You know, after doing all these weird things with the bass and the mids, it is not bloomy, not muddy, still extremely clear, very worthy of its flagship status. So this IEM is really good at the sound level itself. Against the U12T, the Radon 6 is a better IEM overall. Firstly, I do find it more engaging, more fun to listen. And next is that when it comes to the bass, it is better in most way other than the absolute sub quantity where I feel the U12T has a touch more. But other than that, you know, texture, punch, and overall quality of the bass, the Radon 6 does it a lot better itself. And also, the amount of energy in the Radon 6 is just significantly better than the U12T. The U12T, when listened next to the Radon 6, feels a bit more, I would say, as relaxed, which is not exactly how U12T should sound like. But, you know, you get my gist, that the Radon 6 is extremely energetic. And also, I find that the Radon 6 is a smoother experience to listen from bottom to top, from the bass onwards all the way to highs. The extension, the smoothness, it is a lot better than the U12T. The U12T can get a little bit shouty or peaky to me at the mids and the highs if the song is quite, I would say, busy, while the Radon 6 never had that feeling itself. So to me, the Radon 6 is a better IEM for the purpose of listening to music. Now, this is the Maestro SE from Fat Freak, and when compared to the Radon 6, the Maestro SE does have a bigger soundstage, a airier sound, and a overall lighter sound signature. It also does have a little bit more sub-bass, once again similar to the U12T. But when it comes to all the other qualities, the Radon 6 is better, the punch is better, the energy is better. Radon 6 is also more fuller overall in the sound itself. The Radon 6 is also a smoother sounding IEM, though I would say as because of the airy nature of the Maestro SE. It depends on which track you listen, such as if I was listening to Aino Akuruhi, the extension in the air region in the Maestro SE does make it slightly more enjoyable than the smooth nature of the Radon 6, which is more of a very calming sound. So that is the difference here. From the size perspective, I do find that the Radon 6 is also a lot easier to wear. It is smaller and fits into the ear better. The Maestro SE is a bit chunky. But that said, is the Radon 6 worth twice the price of the Maestro SE? I think it depends. If you are looking for a high energy sound, okay to lose a bit of the overall soundstage itself, and you want more body in your sound, the Radon 6 is a lot better, while the Maestro SE is a bit more extended in the highs and more airy. So there is the difference. I would say as they are more different than the same, and the choice is a little bit more towards of your preference rather than the technicalities of it. So Radon 6 is one of the few IEMs that actually does benefit from a better amplification. So when I run day to day, I actually use this one. This is a Bluetooth module, a BT20 Pro, and I use it because it is really decent for whatever I'm paying for. But it benefits a lot when you do plug into the amp properly itself. So the Radon 6, if you plug into something like the Shuntling M9 Plus, you get better bass, better control, overall a nicer sound signature. And this actually gets better when you plug into something like the Maestro Kobo itself. Now, with the Maestro Kobo, the overall sound signature is even more punchy. The slam of the bass is very clean, and there is a wider sound with a more distinct separation. Even though the Radon 6 requires very little power, but it does scale with amplification and also carries the characteristics of its amplifier up to the IEM itself, which is, big soundstage on the Maestro Kobo. I don't have much time to test on every single device, but I can guarantee you that Radon 6 runs on almost any device, but it benefits greatly if you use a better amplification. Regardless, it always have that particular high energy signature that is very punchy, mids that are very enjoyable, very energetic up front, and a treble that is very revealing but not too much till something like the Annihilator or the Maestro Mark III. And if you're looking for high energy IEM, regardless of amplification, you will not get it on this IEM itself. Now, I just want to sum up this review saying that Radon 6 is a very expensive IEM. I purchased it because of its characteristics, especially in its bass and mids. I really enjoy it. For a large soundstage IEM to have very nice bass, very full body is not very common. Normally, IEMs with great sound stages and overall very smooth sound, normally their mids are far away. That's pretty much how most Harman tuning goes. Overall, I do think that the Radon 6 is a very good IEM. It is the best IEM in first line. I actually don't quite enjoy most of other first IEM, except for the Radon 6. So if you have a chance, do try it out. This is a bit of a limited edition, and I think you cannot find it in a lot of shops today. But it is not that rare. I have searched it around. You can actually find it still available in the market today. What do I have to say for the Radon 6? If you are looking for a rock concert-like energy IEM, the Radon 6 is for you. But if you are looking for a lot of energy in the treble region, which is very common for a lot of the high-end IEMs today, this IEM don't give you. Go and find a Maestro Mark III or an Annihilator. Those will satisfy you better. With that, I hope you enjoy my review, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.